Yeah, probably I can start introducing the guys who are here in the room to host this webinar. So this is Seva Hemin. He's our co-founder of OneSoil, and he is also an agrochemist and G specialist. So he will be the main presenter today, and he will introduce the main principles of variable rate technologies that are based on the result of our trials. We also have Kate from OneSoil here today as well. So Kate is our marketing manager, and she's like the marketing magician who is on. It's on. Yeah, so Kate is our marketing manager, and my name is Valeria. I'm support and social media manager. So probably you have once sent a message to OneSoil support chat, and that was the person who was talking to you. So welcome everyone to our webinar. Shall we wait for some more time, or
I think we can start with that.
Okay, let's start. So Seva, can you please? Yes. So this is the plan of our webinar. Today we are going to cover a few topics. So first of all, we're going to cover the theory part, and these are the main principles of variable rate application. We're going to introduce our tips for variable rate applications based on the results of the trials that we have carried out in the last 7 years. Then we are going to make a product demo of our new platform, OneSoil Yield, which is actually the result of these trials. And then we're going to introduce a bonus for all the participants of this webinar. So please stay tuned. And in the end, you will be able to ask your questions if you have any. So you can send the questions like in the flow of our webinar, but we will cover the answers at the very end. So just, you may choose a strategy you like. You may either send the messages instantly, or we will have a Q&A session at the very end. Seva, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, let's start.
Hello, everyone. My name is Seva, and in the OneSoil company, I am responsible for precision agriculture. And we released our OneSoil Yield solution in June. But this solution is relied on our 7 years of experience to do agriculture trial and estimate the efficiency of VRA technology. Average profitability increases by $14 per hectare based on 200,000 hectare trial fields. Result depends on technology and region. With VRA, we are managing fields on a zone level, not like a single piece of land. It means that we create zones and apply different amounts of agriculture inputs by zones. In the slide, you can see that for this field, we create zones and apply different amount of fertilizer by zones. To create zone, we can use different approaches. There are agrochemical survey, electrical conductivity, elevation, and productivity zones. Productivity zones can be created based on vegetation data or yield data. A little more about productivity zones. Productivity zones are areas in a field with different yield history. The area with the highest yield in the field for several seasons is a high productivity zone. The area with the lowest yield for the several seasons is a low productivity zone. Productivity zones are the best method to do VRA because they have high quality, they are easy to interpret, and they have low cost. I will not go into detail because comparing the different approaches to building productivity zones deserve a separate webinar. Productivity zones creation is multi-temporal analysis for 5+ seasons. And in my experience, yield data is the most exact way to delineate productivity zones. But there are 2 buts. The first one, to build productivity zones, we need yield data for 5+ seasons. And farmers typically don't have yield data for 5+ season. The second part is that if farmers have yield data for 5+ season, this data often uncalibrated, and we cannot use uncalibrated data from harvester to build productivity zones. In the slide, you can see example. Yield data for one of our field, yield harvester was uncalibrated, and we cannot use this yield data to build productivity zones. However, vegetation index has a strong correlation with yield data in the certain phenological stage for some crops, not for all of them. We know it because for 7 years we have been gathering hundreds of thousands yield data from harvesters, and our R&D department compares this data with vegetation. Here's one of the most important points, that the main goal of productivity zones is to predict yield distribution for the next season based on data from previous seasons. I will speak more about it in the next slides. To build productivity zones, we developed our own approach, which includes 5 steps. In the first step, we detect seasons. We are a global company, and the corn in Argentina, in Germany, grows at different times. And also in some regions, farmers have more than one season per year. Next step, we check for field division for all seasons. It is an important step for us because if in the field grows more than one crop, we cannot use vegetation for this field to build productivity zones. And our algorithm removes these seasons from analysis. And the next step, we detect clouds and shadows. It's also an important step because we cannot use satellite images where our algorithm detects clouds or shadows. And in the fourth step, we find interval of suitable dates based on phenological development of plants for each season. And in the last step, we correlated vegetation season by season and assess the stability of zones. Productivity zones based on satellite data provide enough quality to create a task map. An example in the slide. You can see in the left image productivity zones based on 3 years of yield data. In the right image, you can see productivity zones based on 3 years of satellite data. As you can see, between these maps have the same pattern of distribution of productivity. It means that we can use productivity zones based on satellite data to create a task map and use this task map in our equipment. Give me a sec.
Seven, it's a few seconds to concentrate. Okay.
Yeah. Most of our competitors use the average vegetation index to build productivity zones. As I mentioned before, to build our productivity zones, we use our own algorithm, which include 5 steps. And here we separate field by 2 groups, easy field and difficult field. Easy field is field with stable vegetation, optimum crop rotation, and field boundaries have not been changed. Difficult field is field with unstable vegetation, not optimal crop rotation, and the field boundaries have been changed. In the slide, you can see an example for easy field and for difficult field. Let's start with easy one. For this field has good crop rotation to build productivity zones. Corn is monocrop for this field. And also, field boundary had not been changed for 7 seasons. As you can see, our zones and productivity zones from one of our competitors almost the same. And both of these maps have the same trend with yield data. Now let's go to difficult field. For this field has crop rotation with 4 crops: canola, wheat, barley, and corn. Also, for 2 seasons, field boundary has been changed. And as you can see in the slide, our productivity zones and productivity zones from one of our competitors are totally different. And productivity zones from OneSoil predict yield distribution much better. I would like to highlight it again. Productivity zones aim to predict yield distribution in typical weather conditions and for crops that have a correlation between vegetation index and yield. But not all fields are suitable for VRA technology based on productivity zones. Productivity zones can be stable or unstable. If a field is suitable for VRA technology, it means that we can predict yield distribution. And typically, in the field exists factor that limits yield in the low productivity zone season by season. In the slide, you can see example. Can you do this? In the slide, you can see productivity zones which were built without 2021 data season. And to build these productivity zones, our algorithm select 4 years of vegetation data. Also in the slide, you can see yield data for 2021 data season. And as you can see, our productivity zones predict yield distribution with high accuracy. Area with low productivity has low yield. Area with high productivity has high yield. If the field is unsuitable for VRA technology, it means that we cannot predict yield distribution. And typically, in this case, weather or peculiarities of the crop impact yield distribution significantly. As you can see in the slide, we show you yield data for 2020 season and yield data for 2021 season. These maps are completely different because season 2020 was little wetter and the climate condition impact yield distribution. We cannot predict climate in the next season, and it means that we are not recommended use fields like this to create a task map. For all fields which you upload onto OneSoil system, we prepare field report. For field which is suitable for VRA based on productivity zones, you can see productivity zones, and also you can see how many seasons were used to build these productivity zones. For fields which are unsuitable for productivity zones, you cannot see productivity zones, but based on the report, you can see the reason why the field is unsuitable for VRA. The vegetation can change significantly season by season, or field was divided for all seasons, and our algorithm cannot use a field which was divided. Also in the field report, we show additional layers. We show soil brightness map and elevation map. Few words about soil brightness map. Soil brightness map has a strong correlation with soil organic matter content. In easy word, dark soil has more organic matter content, light soil has less organic matter content. This rule works in the 89% of cases. Compare these 3 layers, we can understand the factor which limits yield in the low productivity zones. We can map soil erosion, soil salinity, low acidity, and also overmoisted area. Now in the slide, you can see field report based on remote sensing data, which we can build for every field around the world. Productivity zones are not enough to estimate the efficiency of VRA. We also need task map with control strips, machinery, which can utilize the task map, and also we need to combine with yield monitoring system to measure and understand the result of our trials. In our OneSoil Yield, the first step is to create task map. In our application, you can create task map for planting, fertilizer, and for crop protection.
Crop protection, right? Crop protection products.
Yeah, crop protection products. The next step, we add control scripts to our task map to measure the result. I will speak more about it when I show demo for you. The next step is analyzing the result. It is one of the most important steps of our solution. We use our algorithm to interpret the result objectively. Now in the slide, you can see to measure the result of our VRA technology, yield map is a requirement for analysis. And in this step, farmers should upload yield map for all fields where he had a trial. And also in this step, we recommended for farmers compare productivity map, which they used to build productivity zone, and yield data from the harvester. Now in the slide, you can see an example how look report for one of our trials. I will show it when I will speak more about it when I show demo to you. Now, I would like to show a few examples. VRA seeding corn is one of the most popular directions in precision agriculture. The main principle here that in the zone of high productivity, we increase the seeding rate. In the zone of low productivity, we reduce the seeding rate. But different hybrids in different weather conditions give different results. Now I would like to show you average data for the 2021 season for 72 fields in Ukraine, where we tested how VRA technology works for planting corn. In the slide, you can see two charts for low productivity zones and for high productivity zones. Let's start with high productivity zones. In the chart, you can see blue dots and red dots. The value in the blue dots is yield differences between standard rate and high rate. The value in the red dots is differences, is yield differences between standard rate and low rate. As you can see, for almost all fields, we increase standard rate in the high productivity zones, and we increase average yield too. On average, we increased yield in the high productivity zones by 0.25 ton per hectare. Now let's go to low productivity zones. The same. And as you can see, in the low productivity zones, for almost all fields, we reduced standard rate and we increased yield too. On average, we increased yield by 0.10 ton per hectare. Which activities can we use productivity zone for? We can use productivity zone for planting corn, sunflower, wheat, and other crops. We can use productivity zones for NPK fertilization in the main fertilization. We can use productivity zones to apply nitrogen in season. Also, we can use productivity zones for line management. And based on productivity zones, we can create task map for agrochemical survey and collect soil samples with productivity zones.
Yeah, and now Kate is going to share a link with you. So this is our recommendations based on the results of our trials that show how to use what strategy to use for variable rate application depending on crops. So we have sent you a link in the chat, so you can follow this link and save it as tips for variable rate applications. Seva will now show a demo of OneSoil Yield that he has introduced before.
Yeah, now let's go to them. In my demo account, I've already uploaded 11 fields. For 10 of them, we had trials in season 2021. When I click on the field, I can see field reports. I can see productivity zones, and also I see how many seasons were used to build these productivity zones. As you can see in the screen, to build these productivity zones, our algorithm selects 5 seasons out of 7, and it means that area with low productivity was stable for 5 seasons, and area with high productivity was also stable for 5 seasons. Also, at the bottom of the page, you can see additional layers: soil brightness map that has strong correlation with soil organic matter content, and elevation map. As you can see, area with high productivity are located in the dark soil in the lowland. Area with low productivity are located in the light soil in the upland and steep slope. It means the distribution of productivity was stable for 5 seasons out of 7, and using additional layers, we can explain the distribution of productivity. For this field, in the low productivity area, soil erosion is limiting factor. Now I will create task map to apply fertilizer for corn. In this step, you should add crop, hybrid, type of fertilizer. For this example, I'll apply urea for corn, standard rate, rate in the high productivity area, and rate in the low productivity area. Here's the important point, that we don't give any recommendations about standard rate and rate into high productivity area or in the low productivity area, because farmers know their fields and conditions much better than us. Also, in these steps, you can change amount of zones. This can be 5 or 7. And also, in this step, our algorithm delineate stable area with low productivity and stable area with high productivity. As you can see in the screen, in the productivity map, exists some red area and green area. Our algorithm didn't delineate this area because this area was unstable. And we recommended you apply standard rate in this area. If you would like to change your task map, you can do it manually. We have opportunity to change them manually. Now, for example, I increase area with low productivity. Yeah. Give me a few seconds. Yeah. In this step, our task map is ready. We can send this task map to my John Deere Operation Center, like a file, or directly to machinery, or we can download this task map like a shape file, or either XML, and use this task map in our equipment. But if we apply urea based on this task map, we will never understand how we impact yield based on our task map. To solve this problem, we created next step, which is trials. When I go to this step, our algorithm analyzes the distribution of productivity in the high productivity area and distribution of productivity in the low productivity area, and try to find the best area to control strips. Now in the screen, you can see that in the high productivity zones, you can see space with standard rate, and also in the low productivity area, you can see space with standard rate too. The main criteria to build control strips is that level of productivity inside and outside control strips have to be the same, must to be the same. Because in the next step, we will compare yield inside and outside control strips. And based on this comparison, we will make a conclusion how we impact yield based on our task map. Also, we have additional option here, is to create two control strips. When I create two control strips, now in the area with high productivity, you can see control strips with standard rate and with low rate. In the low productivity area, you can see control strips with standard rate and with high rate. And also in the average productivity zone, you can see control strips with low rate and high rates. For all our clients, we recommend to use two control strips. And I will explain why it's important when I will show result of our trials to you.
Seva, shall we send the instruction on how to build the control strips? Because it may sound a bit complicated. So we have a written instruction on how to do it in the best way. And we will share it with you in chat now as well. So you can save it for later. And like for all of the participants, we will also send this link in email after the webinar. Thanks.
Thank you, Valeria. It's complicated to build control strips, but it's impossible to understand how VRA technology works in your field without control strips.
Yeah, and it's good that our solution is actually building them mostly automatically. All you have to do is just to adjust them.
Yeah. Now in the screen, you can see a task map to apply UREA, which we used in season 2021. Also, I already uploaded yield data from season 2021. The standard rate for this field was 215 kilograms per hectare. In the area with high productivity, we increased rate of fertilizer up to 315 kilograms per hectare. In the area with low productivity, we reduced standard rate down to 115 kilograms. When I click in the yield map, in the first step, let's compare productivity map, which we used to build our task map, and actual yield data, which we got from the harvester. As you can see in the screen, our productivity map predicts yield distribution with high accuracy. This map almost the same. When I click on our task map, which we used in the previous season, we start our analysis. Firstly, let's look at numbers. Average yield for this field was 9.84 ton per hectare. Predicted yield without VRA would have been 9.55 ton per hectare. It means that for this field, we didn't spend any additional fertilizer. We redistributed existing amount of fertilizer based on our task map and productivity zones, and we increased average yield by 0.29 ton per hectare. And we know these numbers because we made control strips in our task map. You can find more detailed information at the bottom of the page. As you can see, in the low productivity zone, corn plant didn't react on the additional fertilizer. All rates provide same yield. In the area with high productivity, corn plant reacted on the additional fertilizer. As you can see, we increased rate of fertilizer in the high productivity area, and we increased yield too. One more example. Now in the screen, you can see productivity zones. And to build these productivity zones, our algorithm selects two seasons. It means that the distribution of productivity was stable for 2 seasons out of 7. But we can explain the distribution of productivity for this field based on soil brightness map. As you can see, area with low productivity allocated in the light soil with low level of organic matter content, area with high productivity allocated in the dark soil with high level of organic matter content. For this field, in season 2021, we tested how we planted corn with VRA technology. In the screen right now, you can see task map which we used in the previous season. The standard rate for this field was 70,000 seed per hectare. In the area with high productivity, we increased standard rate up to 78,000 seed per hectare. In the area with low productivity, we reduced standard rate down to 62,000 seed per hectare. And I've already uploaded yield data, which we got in the season 2021. In the first step, like in the previous field, let's compare productivity map and yield map. As you can see, our productivity zones predict yield distribution with high accuracy. When I turn on the task map, which we used in the previous season, we start our analysis. And again, let's look in the number. Average yield was 5.86 ton per hectare. Predicted yield without VRA would have been 5.44 ton per hectare. It means the same. For this field, we didn't spend any additional seeds, but we redistribute existing amount of seeds based on our productivity zones, and we increased average yield by 0.42 ton per hectare. Let's see more detailed analysis, which you can find at the bottom of the page. You can see that in the low productivity zones, we reduced standard rate and we increased yield. And it's logical from agronomy point of view, because these zones can provide nutrition element and moisture for less plants. And visually, you can see how seeds rate impact yield visually in this map. In the area with high productivity, we increased standard rate and we increased yield too. And the last example, which I would like to show to you, in the screen, you can see productivity zones. And to build these productivity zones, our algorithm used 3 seasons. And it means that distribution of productivity was stable for 3 seasons out of 7. And we can understand the distribution of productivity based on our additional layers. As you can see in the screen, area with low productivity allocated in the light soil, area with high productivity allocated in the upland, area with high productivity allocated in the lowland. For this field, in season 2021, we also tested VRA technology to plant corn. You can see a task map which was used in the previous season. Standard rate was 70,000 seed per hectare. In the area with high productivity, we increased standard rate up to 76,000 seed per hectare. In the area with low productivity, we reduced standard rate down to 64,000 seed per hectare. In this step, let's compare again our productivity map and yield map. As you can see in the screen, our productivity map predicts yield distribution with high accuracy. When I turn on my task map, we start our analysis. And as you can see, average yield in the field was 6.11 ton per hectare. Predicted yield without VRA would have been 6.10 ton per hectare. It means It means that our task map didn't impact yield. For more detailed information, more detailed information you can find at the bottom of the page. As you can see, in the area with low productivity, all rates provide same results. In the area with medium productivity, the same. All rates provide same results. And for high productivity area, it's also the same. Rate 64,000 seeds per hectare, 70,000 seeds per hectare, 66,000 seeds per hectare provide same result, same yield. And it means that the standard rate to this field was too high. And our recommendation for the next season reduced standard rate down to from 60,000 seeds per hectare to 64,000 seeds per hectare, save some resources, and repeat this trial. Now I would like to return to my presentation.
Seva, can you please also show if there is a field that is not suitable for VRA? Let's just make it clear that it's a field that is not suitable for VRA based on productivity zones. So can you please show a report that we are going to show?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Now in the screen, you can see a field report for field which unsuitable for VRA. And for this field, you cannot see productivity zones. But you can see that for all seasons, field was divided for 2 and 3 parts. And how I mentioned before, even the field grow more than one crop, we cannot use this field to, we cannot build productivity zones for field like this.
Maybe it's a good point also to mention that soon you will be able to create like some different task maps for such fields.
Yeah, and tomorrow we will give ability to our customers for fields like this, create task map based on actual vegetation.
Yes.
Now let's return to a presentation, and it's like few last slides. Yield, OneSoil Yield is a simple application for using and measuring VRA technologies in fields. Our OneSoil Yield solution consists of 5 steps. In the first step, we understand the variability of the fields. In the second step, we create productivity zones. And the third step, we understand the limiting factors. And the fourth step, we create task map with control strips. And in the fifth step, we calculate the result of our trial.
And now it's time for the bonus that we announced before. We asked our team to create a special package so that you can try out the full cycle of OneSoil Yield platform. This package allows you to process any 3 of your fields of any size and have access to OneSoil Yield platform for a year. It means that during this year, you can create different task maps for these 3 fields. Later, you can analyze the yield results for these fields after harvesting. And also, you can use all the new features that we keep releasing regularly. In case you want to get this package, you can use either the QR code you see in the slide or the link that I will send you in the chat. Also, tomorrow, I will send a follow-up email with this link and with some other useful links. If you like OneSoil Yield app, and we hope you do, while using it for these 3 fields, you can always buy access for all of your fields, either from us or from one of our dealers in different countries. The list and contacts of dealers is available on our website. In case you have any questions about this special offer or about regular pricing for OneSoil Yield, please email us and we will provide all the information. And now let's move to the Q&A session. Feel free to write your questions to Seva to the chat. He will try to cover as many as possible, but in case we don't have enough time for everything, you can write again an email to hello OneSoil AI, and Lera or I will answer you as soon as possible.
Yeah, and we have some questions that have already dropped to the chat. So Seva, you can.
A sec, it will be more useful if I see questions there.
Oh yeah, just a second. We are going to show Seva the questions on the big screen. Yes, so you can also check on my laptop if it's okay for you. Can you please read it aloud? There was a question from Bruce Milligan. Do the productivity maps used need to be from the same crop? Isn't the productivity different between corn and soybeans or between wheat and canola?
I think no. We used our algorithm and we correlated seasons to each other. And if the distribution of productivity for corn and soybean is the same, we will use all the seasons in our analysis. And the second part of the question, if
just a second. Yes, here.
Is the productivity between corn and soybean? It's also a really good question. In my experience, in some fields, yes, in some fields, not. And it means that some soil condition for corn can be critical, but for soybean, this soil condition is not critical. In the future, we have planned to create productivity zones for different crops. But now we research this.
Thank you. There's another question on the screen. You can
check it.
Do you have a reference threshold to establish, I think, flat operation, VRA in 2, 3, or 7 power zones?
The answer is that now we recommended for all our clients use 3 zones, not like 5 or 7, because when we use 3 zones, it is much easier to create a trial and build control strips. If you use 7 zones for the field, sometimes it's impossible to create control strips. And it means that we recommend all our farmers use 3 zones. We don't know any thresholds, and we don't give any recommendations about standard rates and rates in the high productivity area and low productivity areas, because you know your fields much better than us. But use our solution, you can understand how VRA technology works in your field, and also our solutions provide you ability to verify your standard rate. And in the next season, maybe after 2-3 seasons, you'll be understand your thresholds based on the control strips which we recommended to build for all task maps.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there's another question on the screen. Can we upload custom layers? Yeah, that's a very good topic, actually. Yes.
Good topic. It's it's in our roadmap. In the April, you'll have ability to upload electrical conductivity data and data from agrochemical survey. And I'll say more. Based on these layers, you will have ability to create task map with control line, and you can understand the differences of result for task map which you create based on productivity zones and based on your layer which you would like to use to create task map.
Probably you can name some layers that we plan to add to the application.
All vectors layers is electrical conductivity, agrochemical data, and also will give ability to upload raster layers. If you, for example, would like to use drone images to create task map, for example, for nitrogen application or to apply crop protection products, you will have ability to do it in the April. There will be a limited growth to them.
Yeah, there is a question like there will be a very limited group of ground truth data from Pakistan. Let's just imagine any country which has a limited ground truth data. So how it will affect VRA maps for these regions?
Our algorithm to build productivity zones understands seasons. And when we understand seasons, corn in Pakistan grows the same like corn grow in Brazil. And we have experience to compare corn in Argentina and corn in Ukraine. And it's the same development of plants. And when we understand seasons, for us, it's no matter in which region corn grows.
Good. There is another question. Does your model work without harvest data?
Our model works well without harvest data, but we need harvest data to estimate the efficiency of VRA technology. Without harvest data, it's impossible to understand how we impact yield based on our test map.
So there are no more questions coming to the chat, but we still have some time. So
we actually had questions that you sent in the registration form. So probably we can go to them.
Yes, we have some questions. So you can probably choose some that you like most. Okay, the first question: does it make sense to implement variable rate technology to farms with a small land bank?
It is up to you, because if I have fields like 1 or 2 hectares, I think for me it's easier to walk through the whole field and understand field variability. I don't need any slide data. But if the field size of field more than 35, maybe 20 hectares, it's impossible to walk through all fields, and it means up to you.
Okay. So the answer is actually yes, but it's still up to you. Okay, good. How could you correct prescription maps if you had weed infestations in previous years?
It's not good to have weeds in fields, but the weeds can influence on the productivity map, but you can correct maps manually in our solution.
Yes, you have showed it during the demo. If you hear a strange sound, that's a dog under our table. So sorry for that. Okay. How do you confirm that the zones selected on the field are really uniform across the field?
As I mentioned before, to better understand zones, we show additional layers, but our main goal to build productivity zones is predict yield distribution. And in some fields, distribution of nutrition elements can be the same in the productivity zones, but for some other fields, it can be different.
Thank you. What is the error of the model? It's actually like very close to the question number 4. What is the accuracy that we can expect? So probably you can speak about the accuracy.
In the season 2021, we measure accuracy between our productivity zones and the fractional yield from the harvester, and the accuracy to predict yield distribution for more than 1,000 fields was more than 83%. And I think it's more than enough to confirm it.
Okay, good. There was another question in the chat. What if we have fields where farmers do intercropping? How does it affect the VRA maps results?
I think can you say more? Intercropping, it means that it's
maybe it means different crops at the same time.
Yeah,
let's wait for
do intercropping. Honestly, I didn't have experience to create task maps for fields where it was intercropping, but you can try to do it in our
multiple
multiple
crops. Mhm.
I didn't have experience to do it, but you can try in our yield solution.
Okay, good. Will it be possible to download the prescription map from OneSoil into a DJI AgriSdraw?
I don't know, honestly, but we give ability to download task map like a shapefile, and I think it's one of the most popular format to prescription. And I think, yeah, it's possible to download task map for DJI AgriSdraw.
Yeah, if anyone had experience with that, probably you can also share your experience. If you use some drones, what file formats are the most useful? And we can also probably think of adding some kind of, new formats and new integrations to make the data transfer more smooth. Okay, good. And the question number 6, do you think enough farmers trust remote sensing technology? It's quite a philosophical question, I think. So what do you think, Seva?
Let's ask our audience.
Yeah, what do you actually guys think about that?
Yeah, in my experience, satellite data provide enough quality to use this data in precision agriculture. And I have been working in precision agriculture more than 7 years, and for almost all years I used satellite data to create prescription, and we believe in data.
Okay, thank you.
There is one more question.
How many years of OneSoil trials for variable rate seeding? Interesting to see variable rate does not impact yield.
Honestly, how many years on soil trial for VRA seeding? Yeah, we done trials for winter and spring wheat 4 seasons, and we didn't see any significant impact of seed rates for yield. And but some farmers, some of our clients, reduce standard rate of winter wheat based on our solution by 35%.
There was also a question for the second time, what is the error of the model? So we have already answered this question partially. Yeah, so the accuracy of the model, which is used for prediction yield, is over 83%, right? Yeah, so it's over 83%. Okay, we can switch to the next slide just in case. This is the email that you can use for contacting us. If you have any questions after the webinar, if you just want to talk and want to share some of your stories, we're really grateful for that, and we will be happy to talk to you. Many thanks for attending this webinar. We will send a follow-up email, right?
Yeah, sure.
Tomorrow?
Yes, tomorrow, and I hope we also will send you the record of this webinar in case you want to watch it again and again.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day or evening, whatever time you have now.
Yeah, and thank you. If you want such webinars to happen again, please also let us know, and we will be more enthusiastic about holding more webinars in the near future.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.